Right, this is a video that we're going to do on really common mistakes that we see in exam papers. So the first one, not reading the question. So the question might have asked you to tick 2 boxes and you've only ticked 1. Not reading the question again, and this is where the bug comes in, so you might see a B just to the left of number 2 there. So for example, you're not looking at the command words, so you might have described rather than explained, or vice versa. So make sure you're looking at what the command word's asking you to do. Number 3, you're not underlining the key bits that they give you, either in the question or in the context. So you need to look really carefully at the information given in the question or in the context before it and just underline the key bits. And then the last bit that we'll look at today is where students aren't being specific or detailed enough in their answers. So let's look at some examples. Here's one I prepared earlier. So have a look at this question here, pause the video, see if you can work out why they have not read the question. Why have I written that? Right, hopefully you've worked it out, but the question says, suggest one improvement the student could make to the apparatus. So even without looking at the figure, you can see that this person has said, repeat each reading. That's got nothing to do with the apparatus, that's about the method, so how could they improve the method? So if I was answering this question, I would bug the command word, suggest, and then I'd underline the key bits. So 1, improvement to the apparatus, and then I'd look back over here. There's the diagram. So how could I improve this? So they've just got a bog standard thermometer there, so I could suggest perhaps using a digital thermometer that goes down to a smaller reading so it's more precise. So there's my improvement and there's my reason. I'll give you another example. So have a look at the question again, pause the video and see if you can work out what they've done wrong here. Okay, so the context at the beginning, the student then investigated how the surface area of the marble chips affected the rate of reaction. So that's what they're changing. They're investigating how the surface area, so they're changing the surface area. Now the question says, which 2 variables should the student keep constant? Tick 2, not 1, but 2 boxes. So constant means the same, doesn't it? So this person here said the size of the marble chips. Well, hang on, that's what we're changing. So if we're changing it, it won't be something we've kept constant. So again, this is a case of someone perhaps not reading the question carefully enough. Here's another very common mistake from the trial exam. Here we've got the name of the particles and then it says relative mass. Now lots and lots of students put down the correct charges but not the masses. So a proton has a charge of +1, neutrons don't have a charge, electrons have a charge of -1. Absolutely right, but for a totally different question, because this is asking about the relative mass. Protons and neutrons both have a mass of 1, electrons very small. So again, read the question, take your time underlining and circling the key bits that you need in the question. This is a slightly different one, so this person here has tried to bug the question, so well done them, but they've boxed the command words, underlined key bits in the question, which is excellent to see. However, well, I'll tell you what, if you pause the video you might be able to work it out from my scrawlings. So they've only done the first part. They've described, and if you notice up here I've put a cross above it, they've not explained. So even though they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ticks, they can only get a maximum of 4 marks because they've only answered half the question. They haven't tried to explain it at all. 2 more examples, slightly different this time. This one is where they haven't read the question, so they've tried to put down advantages, but in their answer, and disadvantages, sorry, but in their answer they've not compared. So one disadvantage is that it's very expensive. Okay, how's that a comparison? They're both quite expensive. Would you want to shell out £600 for something? So it's just that it is more expensive. That's a comparison then, isn't it? Another example of someone not being specific. So here, we've seen this question earlier in this video, but suggest an improvement to the apparatus. This person said a better thermometer. That's not very specific, is it? So you just need to be a little bit more detailed there and say a digital thermometer, and then the reason, because it has a higher resolution. Give one reason why the mass the student got was less than expected. So this person said, because some might have been lost. Well, that's true, but how? That's not very specific, is it? It's not very detailed. So again, it's about detail, it's about being specific. So some was lost on the filter paper, there were some unexpected reactions, that means that perhaps not all the product was there. You know the answers, but read the question. There's no evidence here of someone trying to bug the question. Done. So here's another question. This is one from the biology paper, not the one that you did though, so you won't be so familiar with it. Have a look at the question, pause the video, see if you can work out why this student only got 1 out of 2. Okay, hopefully you've had a look. You can see the question's got 2 parts to it almost. So it says describe, that's your command word, so that you should have boxed that. Describe the effect of increasing the light intensity on the rate of photosynthesis. Use information from the table in your answer. So this person has described the general effect of increasing light intensity, but they've not included any information from the table. So if you have a look, you can see that the number of bubbles increases up until 10,000 lux, and then above 15,000 lux, it levels out and doesn't produce any more. Well, the number of bubbles doesn't increase. One last example that you could try is this one here. So pause the video, see if you can work out what they haven't done again. So it's only 1 out of 2 marks. Okay, so this person hasn't bugged the question. That's why I've written it in the corner. So describe the effects. So it's the same question we just looked at. Here they've said the more you increase, right? The more you increase what? You've got to be specific. So the more you increase light intensity, the more bubbles are produced. They have, however, included some data, so they got the 2nd mark in this one, but not the 1st one. Okay, well, I hope that's helped.